Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am doing kind of a different video for you guys this week. This video is gonna be exclusively just like a bonus video, Halloween season. I really wanted to film like a bunch of different kinds of videos for this month, but unfortunately I was busy for medical reasons. As you guys could have told by following my channel, I'm not sure. Anyway, right now I'm still recovering from a previous surgery, but I still wanted to do the spooky stories from Reddit, just to get us all prepared for the vibes. The vibes. I actually kind of don't like that word, but whatever. We're gonna roll with it. I'm sure like my skin looks amazing on camera right now, like better than it looks like in real life. But it's not reality, you guys. So I love listening to podcasts, honestly, reading like all different kinds of stories. Scary stories are definitely one of them. And hopefully I can tell these couple stories. Hopefully like they don't have to take them down. I want to start with like a little intro. So I listened to a lot of My Favorite Murder and Two Hot Takes, and I remember they had talked about this thread. I'm gonna kind of change up the story a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and start reading some, but I'm just gonna read some off of the memory that were kind of spooky. Like if you've never read scary stories on Reddit or heard any of this podcast, I would suggest that you do. But there was this one story I remember, and this is when I'm like, okay, well, Reddit's the place to be. It was something along the lines of like these two women or two people were staying in this hotel. I think it was like for a company reason or something like that, and they were in their hotel. My cat is running around, hold on. It was like a company trip, and basically like they left for an event or something like that. And basically when they came back, something along the lines of like when they came back, there was this old lady in the apartment. It seemed like she was taking things, and she was just like, oh, excuse me, inside the hotel room, like their hotel room, and just like opened a cabinet or opened one of the bookshelves or something like that on the wall, and just like went back into her space in the wall. There was like a freaking lady living in between the walls of this hotel, which was insane. And there's a lot of stories like this, so it's not like, I don't know, I mean, hopefully it's rare, like, or it never happens, but apparently like there are stories like this on Reddit, and just in general, like people have these stories, and there's so many messed up ones. And I remember even in My Favorite Murder, for me, the scariest stories are the ones where they talk about like real people, like not demons or ghosts. For me, it's like where they talk about like real murderers, real people that, you know, could kill you. There was this one story, like I heard about it so long ago, but I still have it in my head, and I still think about it. And it's basically this one about this one girl went to a bar. Well, there's a few stories like this, but basically like there's this one story where this girl went to a bar and she was new to town, and I think this was actually Crime Junkie, and the girl ended up having a date from a dating app. They went to the bar, she went to the bar, she was supposed to meet the guy there, and the guy, you know, wasn't kind of responding. He's like, I'll be there, I'm just running a little late, go ahead and order us two Dos Equis. I don't even know what it was. It was like a specific drink. Then she was waiting, and as she was waiting, she's like, okay, I'm just gonna call him because he's taking forever. So she calls, and when it rings, the number is, you know, it's been disconnected, basically, that line. And some other guy kind of gets in and sits next to the girl and is offering her, I think like to leave with him or like take the party somewhere else kind of thing. I think it was also like to keep drinking. I'm not sure. Something like that along the lines, where he was just kind of like being gradually being more aggressive towards her. She was just like not interested. She's like, no, thank you. And one of the servers had noticed and was paying attention to what was happening, because this had happened like several times, and it was a guy where the girl would order some drinks, you know, a random girl, and it would be the same two drinks waiting on their date, and they never came. So a different guy, that same guy, kept you know, sitting right next to the girls and offering to I don't know if it was to take them home or to take the party somewhere else, and then they would never see the girls again. So this time the waiter decided to warn the girl about this like shady guy, and let her know that like this has happened before, and the girls, you know, they never come back, but he always comes back. It was just kind of weird vibe. So he wanted to let her know, but he was like, shoot, like, I don't know when would be the right time. So she took off, she went to the bathroom, and then he had someone else, he told one of the female servers to tell her. So in the bathroom, the girl goes, like one of the servers goes to go find, or the bartenders or whatever, I don't remember what it was. I think it was only exclusively a bar, something like that. Basically, she follows her to the bathroom and is like, hey, and basically tells her the whole story. Like, this guy is really weird. He tends to do this a lot, where he takes the girls home and then we never find them. Like, I know this is like a weird thing, but you know, we're just not sure about this guy. The actual girl on the date is, she kind of plays it cool after that, and the female bartender is just like, you know, I guess if it was reversed, you never really know how someone will take it. Luckily, the girl that was on the date, and the girl that was on the date, like, she took it well, and she ended up staying with the, I think she ended up telling him, like, to back off or something like that. She wasn't interested, and she ended up staying, like, late at the bar and whatever. And they never actually ended up seeing that guy again, but it's just, like, those things are actually scary to me, because it's just, like, this could literally happen to you. Like, you never know. It's like they have this whole thing set up, and it's just, like, this could be I mean, we all know where this could go, like, unfortunately, or it could lead to, like, a ring of, I don't know, forced sex work, or, you know, like, where they drug the women and et cetera, and they're forced to do all these things, and it's horrible. Maybe they just, you know, kidnap them and rape them and stuff like that, which is horrible. Like, that for me is so scary. And I remember hearing this other story about this one girl that actually got taken, and there was theories that because some people were saying that she went to go work in this sex ring or something like that, other criminals were talking about how, like, they knew where she was. And I mean, maybe it was all just rumors, but some people said, like, oh yeah, like, I remember her dying. They threw her in a pit with, you know, once they were done with her, and it was like a young girl, they threw her in a pit with crocodiles or something like that. It was insane. Like, maybe that's all, like, hopefully that is all a lie, but those things are forever burned into my brain. Now let's get on to, I got a few stories from Reddit, and I want to read them. Okay, so this one's it's on Reddit, it's on this thread, and I'll try to post it down below. And these don't really have a title, but I'll just go ahead and read. So I think this is the first one. 100% true, as it happened to me. It's probably more spooky than scary. I'll let you be the judge. Many years ago, before there were cell phones, we had these things called pagers strapped to our hips. Someone would page you with their phone number, and you would call them back when you got into a phone. As an on-cell technician working on the audio-visual field, my pager would go off all the freaking time. Like most people would use their pagers, our clients knew that if you followed up with your number with a 911, that would indicate to the technician to stop what they were doing and call right away. Although I was always busy, I rarely, if ever, got 911s. One afternoon, traveling from Orlando to St. Petersburg via Interstate 4, my pager goes off with a number I didn't recognize, followed by the 911. I find the first exit and pull into a little truck stop looking place outside of Plant City to use the payphone. This takes about 3 minutes. I walk in, ask for some change, and head to the wall where there were 4 payphones to choose from. I pop my quarter in and dial the number displayed on the trusty pager. It rings and rings and rings and rings. I'm thinking to myself, what the F? Who would page me with a 911 and not answer their phone? It's just about then that I notice another ringing sound in addition to the one in my ear. I plug in the headset from my ears, and 2 phones over on the wall, another payphone is ringing, but with an incoming call. I hang up, and my headset and the ringing stops on the other phone. I walk a few paces over, pick up the headset, and look at the phone number printed above the buttons. I look at the number on my pager. I look at the number on my phone. I look at the number on the pager again. I look at my phone again, except for the 911, they are identical. I lose my breath for a second, and then I make my way over to the girl on the counter and ask if she saw anyone use a payphone. She said I was the only person in the store in the last hour. The whole episode probably took 15 minutes, but man, I was freaked out. The hair on the back of my neck was standing up straight, and I just wanted to get out of there. I get about 10 miles down the highway and come upon a scene that looked like a bomb went off. Four cars piled up, including a tractor trailer hauling a load of steel that had come loose. State troopers and paramedics just arriving. I pulled over to the side and helped the best I could, but it was all pretty much over once it began. I had no idea why I got that page or from whom or what, but I'm convinced that if I hadn't, I wouldn't be alive to write this today. Guys, I think that that's crazy. It's just like, I don't even know if that, like, that almost sounds false. Like, and even if it is, it's still like a good story. When I was in 4th grade, we had buddy classes with 1st graders to help teach them how to write and read properly. My buddy was Cameron Bell, a 6-year-old blonde boy who was a bit quiet but loved to draw angry birds. One morning, I came to school and my teacher was in tears, a police officer in the room besides her. As we sat down after the bell rang, we were told that due to a series of unfortunate events, Cameron had passed away. After school, I rushed home to find out that due to the loss of his mother years prior, his family took him to the nearby church and shot him in the head before shooting himself. I still shake thinking about Cameron and the innocence that was taken. I missed his messy handwriting and the angry birds. It's been about 9 years since the tragedy, and his smile still haunts me. That one is honestly, like, and I'm only gonna say this real quick. I have similar stories of like people that I grew up with and that unfortunately died and that like forever honestly stick with me, and that's why I wanted to share this one. Like, I'm sure everyone, perhaps, hopefully, like, no one else does, but I'm sure other people have not similar stories, but just like things that like you saw growing up and that still haunt you to this day. Like, how freaking sad. Like, what, like, parents that kill their kids, like, that's, I don't know, that's a whole other level to me. I think I got a few more. In 3rd grade, a guy came to our school and held our class hostage. He had already killed his wife and was there to kill his kid. The administrators convinced him the kid was not there and to take one of their cars and leave. After threatening to kill us multiple times, tying up the gym teacher, and dragging someone's grandma around with a knife at her neck, he finally left about 30 minutes later. The police caught him in Indiana on his way to kill his parents. He was convinced that the world was ending and he was killing everyone he loved to spare them. The school did worse than nothing. They lied to the parents and no assistance was given to either the kids or the teachers involved. The gym teacher never came back, and every time she would see one of the kids at the store or whatever, she had a breakdown. Several of us had PTSD, undiagnosed for decades. We thought it was normal. In the 70s, the Chicago public school system was more concerned about their jobs and lawsuits, so they covered it up. Guys, these things are so common apparently in the 70s, and I feel like in My Favorite Murder, they mentioned that a lot, like, you know, leaving your doors open and just like trusting other adults with your kids, like even if they're strangers. In addition, there's so many stories also that are so messed up, but also kind of interesting about people thinking that the end of the world is happening now and they need to kill everyone that they love, and it connected to like cults and stuff like that. If you guys ever like learn about cults, like some cults believe like the end of the world is happening soon. So I mean, sometimes like family member or like who's ever involved with the cult, like they'll fear for the fact that like their family don't believe in the cult too and they're not preparing for doomsday or whatever. But some of them don't kill them and some like do. I don't know, it's like freaking crazy and scary. And I felt like, I don't know, the school system is all, I mean, we all know this, but I felt like that was, I don't know, like it's just like it's so messed up in different ways because of the school, because of the whatever mental illness the father had, and just the gym teacher. I was responsible for opening a new office for a previous employer. The receptionist that we had hired was a sweet little old lady who would always bring in cookies and brownies, like almost every day. She said her husband had a sweet tooth and she doesn't know how to make just enough for the two of them. So since the kids all moved out, she always baked too many. She would always tell us a funny story about her husband and said, or did, the night before. He sounded like a fun guy and she was the absolute sweetest old lady. Or so I thought. A few months later, her husband was reported missing by her adult kids. They said that he hadn't called them since Christmas, and that their mom was very evasive when they would ask to talk to them on the phone. After a little investigating, the police found the husband hacked into pieces in this sweet little old lady's trunk. It turns out on Christmas night, she slit his throat in his sleep, used a hacksaw to cut him up, rolled all the pieces in the carpet, and tucked him into her trunk. Here's the creepy part. We hired her in June. They found the body in August. The whole time I knew her, his body was wrapped in a carpet in her trunk. She was bringing in cookies, telling us funny gym stories, all the while he was decaying in her trunk. Don't we all know? I just want to say, like, don't we all know, like, a little old lady that brings, like, cookies for, like, everyone? That's crazy. Like, it's like you never know someone. And also, like, I'm just, like, wondering, like, what really motivated this old lady to kill her husband. Like, insane. But I think I have one. Oh no, I have two more. I moved into another town. I was surprised by people who looked as if they knew me, even though I saw them for the first time, and everyone around was so rude. They're not all about death, by the way, so this one isn't, I don't think. Despite all the other sources telling how friendly people they were, I was also greeted by, "Oh no, you again," in one place where I went for the first time. I was looking for a room for rent, and one of the owners told me that he won't rent it to me because my co-tenants saw me following and stalking them. I was like, what the F? Am I doing these things and forgetting? Is something wrong with my mental health? Then I went abroad for 3 months. No such thing was happening there. Everything was normal. I thought, guess it's just a local culture. Like, they do that and they get rid of newcomers. Once I returned, I went to fast food to leave my CV. The guy said, "You were here a month ago and it hasn't changed. We're not recruiting." Right as I was on another continent. I couldn't have just bought 2 airplane tickets, spent several days, and just forgot about it, and my bank account wouldn't forget anyway. That's when I started to understand what was going on. And then one day, I finally saw myself in the CCTV, trying to steal something, right? Stealing, following people, and stalking, and being disliked. Makes sense. There was some thief who looked like me, even had similar hairstyle, which was in fashion around. I don't know. As of now, I already know 2 guys who look identical to me. Yeah, this one wasn't about murder, but like doppelgangers is creepy. I don't think I've ever met someone that looks like me that like they confuse me that hard with. I will say that, and then also say that like everyone thinks that me and my sister look like twins. So I don't know. I always thought that like doppelgangers was the coolest thing, especially after I learned about such thing in the Vampire Diaries when I first watched it growing up. But like, how creepy would that be if like you moved to this new town and like there's a person that looks like you? And what are the odds of like moving to a new town and that's where your doppelganger is at? Like, what? Okay, last one. This one is intense, you guys. This one is intense, and I feel like this one's really important to talk about, and you guys will understand. This one's also very sad, so I saved the best for last. Okay, the story of George Stinner Jr. is horrifying. I hope this doesn't get buried because it's actually an important story in American history. A 14-year-old black kid was brutally executed in front of his parents in South Carolina. In 1944, George Stinley, a 14-year-old black kid, was accused of murdering 2 white girls and raping one of them. He was brought into the police department and starved. They told him if he confessed, he could eat, so eventually he did. His trial took only 2 hours. The jury was all white, and it's 1944, for he didn't stand a chance. They had no evidence. His parents were not even allowed at the trial because they were black. He spent 81 days in prison, and his parents could only see him once during this time. In June 16, 1944, Stanley was executed in a horrible way. They strapped him into an electric chair, which was too large for a 14-year-old, so this was horrible, you guys. So they had him sit on a Bible. His father was allowed to say a few words to him, and then they started strapping his face mask onto him. He was whimpering and crying. He was executed with such high voltage that his face deformed. But because he was far too young, the mask fell off his face during electrocution, and everyone could see his face getting morphed. One of his eyes fell out and his teeth were steaming afterwards. Ugh. Tears were streaming down his face as he died. His story sends shivers down my spine. He was only 14. You can find pictures of him in the electric chair before he was electrocuted. These pictures really show you how truly awful the story is. And then they link the Wikipedia article. Again, I will try to link I'll try to remember to link the Reddit thread on the description down below. That one was honestly like so fucking sad, honestly. But I really did feel like when I read that, I was like, that's so horrible, and that does happen a lot in the justice system, unfortunately, where they don't have enough evidence, and because you're a minor, because you were at the wrong place at the wrong time, a minority, you know, because of racism, or it could just be misogyny, you know, different things like that. Basically, like an abuse of power, or anything along the lines, and you are led with this horrible fate. Like, that's another scary story within itself, like being accused of something that you didn't do, so you're forced to be in jail. And this one was on a whole other level. It was like a young kid with no proof. Probably there's like more to the backstory where maybe like the police was corrupt at the time and they just needed someone to blame it on because they had pressure from the press, or perhaps the police were involved with the killing or the raping. Who knows with those kinds of things. But either way, like, that's one of the saddest stories I've ever heard, and it does kind of remind me of Black Mirror in one of the last episodes. If you guys have ever seen Black Mirror, I think you guys probably know which one I'm talking about. But also, it was a little black kid, and I feel like it's so important to talk about like black history, especially like this super duper messed up one. Anyway, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this kind of gave you like the vibes of spooky season, and I hope that you guys found this entertaining. Stay tuned for next week, and I will have a new video out for you guys on Monday. See you guys very, very soon. Have a spooky season.